The internet is buzzing as explosive new allegations surface involving Young Miami and Sean Combs. What started as whispers online has quickly turned into a storm of legal claims, public scrutiny, and shocking testimony that has the entertainment world on edge as court documents, witness statements, and social media reactions collide. One thing is clear: the story is far from over, and the truth could shake the industry to its core. This isn't just celebrity gossip anymore. This is a legal and cultural firestorm. The spotlight has shifted once again to Young Miami, whose name has become entangled in an escalating wave of allegations connected to Sean Combs, a man. His reputation has already been under heavy legal and media fire. What began as background noise on social media has quickly evolved into a story dominating headlines and igniting intense conversations about power, control, celebrity culture, and accountability for months. Speculation surrounding Diddy's personal life has been building, fed by court filings, witness claims, and public commentary from figures close to the situation. But when Young Miami's name was pulled further into the narrative, the conversation took on a sharper edge. Miami has always been known for her bold, unfiltered personality, someone who speaks her mind and refuses to back down from public scrutiny. But this time, the attention isn't about music or viral interviews. It's about what happened behind closed doors and who was caught in the orbit of a powerful man facing serious accusations. The shift happened fast. Online spaces lit up with discussions dissecting every image, every interview, and every social media post. Old clips of interviews were replayed and pulled apart for context. People began to examine her relationship with Diddy, a connection that, at one point, was portrayed as glamorous and carefree. Parties, private jets, designer outfits, and viral moments painted a picture of a woman enjoying luxury, power, and access. But now, in the glare of legal battles and allegations, the same moments are being reinterpreted through a far more complicated lens. This is what makes the story so intense. In celebrity culture, public perception can shift overnight. One day, a relationship is seen as aspirational. The next, it's evidence in a courtroom of public opinion. Miami, known for being confident and outspoken, has found herself facing speculation she never publicly invited. The conversation deepened when elements of legal documents, lawsuits, and testimonies started circulating online. While some of the claims are still unproven and part of ongoing investigations, their very existence has placed Miami in the crosshairs of one of the most talked about legal storms in the music industry today. For her, it's not just about defending a reputation, it's about navigating a narrative being written by others in real time. Observers note that this situation reflects a much larger story than just celebrity drama. It's about how power works behind the scenes in the entertainment industry. Diddy, once regarded as an untouchable mogul, is now facing a growing number of allegations. Each new claim draws more people into the web, whether they were directly involved or caught on the periphery. Young Miami's connection to him has made her part of this public narrative. Whether she chose it or not, the reactions have been divided. On one side, there are people who see her as someone who may also have been pulled into a dangerous situation involving a powerful man. On the other, there are critics who accuse her of silence, complicity, or opportunism. The truth is, only the courts, investigations, and the individuals themselves know the full story. But the court of public opinion rarely waits for due process. Social media, as always, amplified everything. Within hours of new claims surfacing, platforms like X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok became battlegrounds. Threads of speculation intertwined with clips from interviews and resurfaced statements. Comment sections became arenas of heated debate, some sympathetic, others judgmental. Miami herself has not given a lengthy public statement in response to the recent escalation. She has only made brief comments and deflections, which many interpret in different ways. Some see them as a strategy: protect your image and privacy in a volatile media environment. Others view the silence as complicity. In celebrity culture, silence can be weaponized by both sides as a shield or as supposed proof. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, legal proceedings tied to Diddy continue. Lawyers, journalists, and industry insiders are all watching closely. In a story with this level of visibility, every statement, every post, and every piece of testimony can shape reputations in ways that last for years. Young Miami's image has always been tied to her strength and her ability to own her story. That's why this moment feels so critical, because for the first time, seems like the story might be slipping out of her hands. No matter how fiercely someone controls their brand, being pulled into legal narratives involving a global superstar accused of serious misconduct changes everything, even among other celebrities. The reactions have been mixed. Some have expressed subtle support. Others have stayed quiet, likely not wanting to get entangled in the storm. The industry is watching carefully. Miami has long represented a new generation of female artists who are outspoken, fearless, and business savvy. But even the strongest image can be tested under pressure of this magnitude. One of the most complex aspects of this situation is how it's forcing people to confront uncomfortable truths about the entertainment world, where glamour and power can sometimes mask toxic realities. Many fans are revisiting moments they once viewed as aspirational and seeing them now with suspicion or concern. What once looked like a relationship built on mutual enjoyment and luxury now looks, at least to some, like a power imbalance. At the same time, it's also sparking discussions about victimhood, complicity, and survival. Some argue that people connected to powerful figures in these situations can simultaneously benefit and suffer. They may experience luxury and privilege, but also coercion and fear. It's a narrative that doesn't fit neatly into good guys and bad guys. And that makes it even more explosive. For Miami, the challenge is immense. She's not the one facing lawsuits or direct accusations in court, but her name is being pulled through conversations that carry serious weight. Whether fair or not, association in a story like this can alter careers permanently. The coming weeks and months will likely shape how the public remembers this moment. Will Miami step forward to speak her truth in a deeper way, or remain quiet and hope the storm passes? Will legal proceedings involving Diddy reveal more details that clarify or complicate her role in the larger narrative? These are the unanswered questions fueling the fire online. This is no longer just a gossip headline. It's part of a growing cultural reckoning around power, celebrity, and the people caught in the blast radius when empires start to crack. And for someone like young Miami, whose rise was built on fearlessness and owning the spotlight, the test has never been higher. The storm has only just begun. As the story continued to spiral, the conversation surrounding young Miami and Sean Combs deepened far beyond surface-level gossip. What once felt like scattered online chatter had now become part of a much larger and more serious cultural moment. The allegations against Combs, which have drawn national attention, have cast a long shadow over anyone even loosely connected to him. And for Miami, whose association with him was once splashed across red carpets and magazine covers, that spotlight now feels very different. This is what happens when power shifts. When legal systems step in and allegations reach courtroom levels, everything tied to that power structure gets examined. For months, Diddy represented the untouchable mogul, a man whose empire seemed impermeable. But as lawsuits surfaced and testimonies became public, the very foundation of that empire began to fracture in plain view. And with every fracture, names attached to him through business, friendship, or romance were pulled into the storm. Young Miami's relationship with Diddy had always been a subject of fascination. Fans debated whether it was love, power, or convenience. She spoke openly in interviews about enjoying their connection on her own terms, branding herself as someone who was in control, someone who could be glamorous and unbothered while the world watched. But when accusations surfaced about Diddy's alleged private behavior, the narrative shifted overnight. Where fans once saw confidence, some now saw vulnerability. Where there was once laughter and luxury, there is now suspicion, pain, and unanswered questions. Legal filings and court testimonies have added new layers of weight to the conversation. While Miami has not been accused of committing any crimes, Parts of these legal narratives have placed her close to situations that are now under investigation. Whether or not she had any role in those events isn't established. But the very fact that her name has been mentioned has amplified the intensity of public scrutiny. This is the double edge of fame. In celebrity culture, proximity can be as powerful as action. A person doesn't need to be guilty of anything to face judgment. Association alone can shape how the world sees them. The media response has been explosive. Major entertainment outlets have analyzed her connection to Diddy in every possible way. From timelines of their relationship to dissecting past interviews for clues, social media creators have turned it into a daily topic of conversation. Some have shown sympathy, arguing that she may have also been a victim in ways not fully understood. Others have taken a more critical tone, accusing her of benefiting from luxury while ignoring the suffering of others. But here's the reality. This story is still unfolding. No final verdict has been reached in the broader legal situation. No full picture of Miami's role, if any, has been legally established. Still, in the modern media ecosystem, nuance is often the first casualty. Miami's personal image is now at a crossroads. For years, she built a brand around strength, independence, and living life on her own terms. She was the woman who said what she wanted, wore what she wanted, and moved through the industry without apology. Her relationship with Diddy was part of that image, the unbothered queen at the side of a music mogul. But the shifting narrative has changed how that story is perceived. Instead of being the glamorous partner, some now view her as a possible insider to a troubling world. That perception is not based on proof, but on how public opinion reshapes itself in moments of crisis. Insiders say that behind the scenes, Miami has tightened her circle, becoming far more cautious about public appearances and statements. In an industry where every word can become a headline and every silence can become an accusation, this is not surprising. There's power in staying quiet when the storm is loud, but there's also risk. Silence can protect, but it can also invite speculation. What makes this moment even more volatile is how much of it lives online. Unlike scandals of past decades where information was filtered through a few networks or tabloids, this one is unfolding in real time on millions of screens. Anyone with a smartphone can post their theories. Videos go viral in minutes. Clips are taken out of context. Rumors mix with facts. And separating what's real from what's imagined becomes almost impossible for someone like Miami, who built a large part of her cultural presence online. That reality is a double-edged sword. The same platforms that amplified her music and her brand are now amplifying narratives she can't control. Meanwhile, legal experts and cultural analysts are pointing out how her situation reveals something bigger. How individuals close to powerful figures can become both beneficiaries and collateral damage in high-profile scandals. People tied to celebrity empires often enjoy privilege, but when those empires fall, they're also the first to be pulled into the wreckage. Miami isn't the only one facing this storm. Other people in Diddy's orbit have found themselves under scrutiny whether they were directly involved or not. It's a pattern seen before in major entertainment scandals. The closer someone is to the person at the center, the harder it is to escape the fallout. And then there's the emotional weight. Behind the headlines and hashtags is a real person. Someone whose every move is now being picked apart by strangers. While she's a public figure, she's also someone who has to live with the reality that millions are forming opinions about her without hearing her full story. That's a level of pressure that very few people will ever understand. For the public, though, this story is addictive. It's not just a legal case or a celebrity scandal. It's a collision of fame, power, alleged violence, loyalty, and image. People consume it like a gripping series. But for those inside it, there's nothing fictional about the consequences. The uncertainty surrounding Miami's future hangs like a storm cloud over her career. Some believe she bounced back, that her charisma, talent, and unapologetic personality will help her weather this. Others believe the damage to her image will linger, shaping how brands, fans, and even the industry view her for years. In moments like this, reputation isn't just about what someone has done. It's about what the world thinks they've done, or what they believe someone might have known. And that, perhaps, is the cruelest part of being attached to a controversy of this magnitude. The world is watching. The headlines are growing. And with every new legal development involving Diddy, Miami's name will either fade from the conversation or be pulled even deeper into it. For now, she remains silent. A silence that some see as strength, others as avoidance. But one thing is undeniable. Whatever happens next will shape her public image in ways she may never fully control again. The storm isn't over. It's still building. And the closer you stand to the center, the harder it is to walk away untouched. As legal battles surrounding Sean Combs intensify, the spotlight on young Miami grows sharper, heavier, and harder to escape. What began as whispers and social media speculation has evolved into a narrative that refuses to fade. For weeks, her name has been repeated in online discussions, interviews, and courtroom-adjacent conversations, not as a central figure in the legal cases themselves, but as a symbol of how power, image, and proximity collide when empires begin to crumble. The story is no longer just about what happened in private between celebrities. It has become a cultural storm about who gets caught in the aftermath when powerful men face accountability. The truth, whatever it turns out to be, is still being unearthed, but perception often moves faster than facts. And in Miami's case, that perception is being shaped by every headline, tweet, and viral clip. At the core of this chaos lies one undeniable fact. Diddy's legal troubles are shaking the entertainment world to its foundation. Once celebrated as a music mogul, entrepreneur, and cultural icon, he now stands accused of serious misconduct that spans years and involves multiple accusers. As details from lawsuits and testimony emerge, anyone connected to him is finding it nearly impossible to stay untouched by the fallout. Miami's relationship with Diddy was once painted as glamorous. Red carpets, luxury yachts, exclusive parties, and the image of a woman who didn't play by anyone's rules but her own. Fans saw her as bold and empowered, a woman enjoying the perks of a relationship on her terms. But now, those same moments are being re-examined through the lens of allegations that paint a darker picture of what may have been happening behind the scenes. That re-examination isn't just about what Miami said or did. It's about how proximity to power can blur the lines between choice, complicity, and survival. In entertainment history, this pattern is painfully familiar. When powerful men are accused of wrongdoing, the women around them often find themselves in complicated, precarious positions regardless of whether they participated, enabled, or simply stood nearby as media outlets analyze every detail. Miami's interviews and public statements have been pulled apart. Old podcast appearances are clipped and reposted with new captions. Tweets are screen captured and given new meaning. Even her silence is being interpreted as evidence either of guilt, fear, or something in between. It's a cruel paradox. Say too much and you risk fueling the storm. Say nothing, and the world writes its own version of your story. For Miami, this paradox has been relentless. Her branding has always been about power and independence. The woman who doesn't bow to anyone, who owns her sexuality and her choices. That image made her a cultural force. But it also makes her a prime target in a media environment that thrives on drama, scandal, and contrast. The louder someone's persona is, the louder the backlash becomes when the narrative turns. Adding another layer to this storm is how these allegations intersect with broader conversations about celebrity culture, abuse of power, and the way women navigate dangerous environments. Public opinion has grown more aware and more vocal about how coercion, manipulation, and control can coexist with wealth, glamour, and luxury. People are beginning to recognize that what looks like consent or choice on the surface can be much more complicated beneath. Some supporters have rallied behind Miami, suggesting that she may also be someone who is manipulated or controlled. They point to other women who, in hindsight, revealed how their proximity to powerful men came with unspoken expectations, pressures, or worse, Others, however, remain skeptical. They argue that she benefited from the relationship, that she was aware of more than she admitted, and that silence can be a form of protection, not only for herself, but for the man now at the center of lawsuits. The truth is messy. Real life rarely fits neatly into hero and villain narratives. And that messiness is what makes this story both explosive and emotionally charged. Behind the scenes, sources claim that Miami has been forced to reevaluate everything from who she can trust to how she moves in public. The glamorous Instagram posts have slowed. The tone of her online presence has shifted. Even her usual playful energy has dimmed. For a woman who built her empire on controlling her image, that's telling. Legal experts watching the case have also noted that if more information surfaces connecting anyone in Diddy's orbit to incidents or patterns of behavior, the ripple effect could be massive. Even if Miami herself isn't implicated in any wrongdoing, her association could impact partnerships, endorsements, future opportunities, and the way the public remembers her legacy. This isn't just about a headline. It's about brand survival in an unforgiving era. Today, fame isn't just about what someone accomplishes, it's also about what they're associated with. And in the age of viral media, association can be both crown and curse. It's also worth noting that cases like this are complex. Survivors and bystanders alike can exist in the same space. Some people benefit from proximity to power while simultaneously enduring their own private battles. These dynamics rarely look simple from the outside. That complexity is what makes Miami's situation so emotionally charged for the public, because nobody truly knows where she stands in this story except the people involved, the entertainment industry has seen this kind of implosion before. When major figures fall, the blast radius is wide. Everyone close gets burned to some degree. And as Diddy's legal battles deepen, Miami is standing close to the flames even. She'd never lit the match. Fans online have noticed how sharply opinions are divided. Some speak with empathy, recognizing that people in her position might have been trapped in ways not visible to outsiders. Others use her public persona, confident, outspoken, sometimes controversial, as evidence that she knew everything. But neither group truly knows the full story. What's clear, though, is that her silence is not neutral anymore. In a story this big, silence becomes a loud statement all its own. And that silence has now become a stage where every outsider projects their own version of the truth. The pressure is immense. Every move she makes is calculated. Every word she doesn't say becomes a headline. Every past decision is dug up and thrown under the microscope. This is not just a PR challenge. It's a survival strategy in real time for a woman like young Miami, who built her career on controlling the narrative. The current moment is perhaps the ultimate test. What happens when the story isn't yours anymore? This is the razor's edge of celebrity culture, where luxury, power, danger, and reputation collide. And as legal proceedings involving Diddy continue to unfold, Miami stands at the center of a storm she didn't publicly create but can't escape either. The question now isn't just how the case will end. It's how she will be remembered when it does. The storm surrounding Sean Combs has not slowed down. If anything, it's intensified, spreading like a shockwave across the industry. And standing directly in its path is young Miami. What was once whispered in corners is now shouted in headlines. What was once speculation has grown into narratives. Some fact-based, some spun from rumor. But all of it converging around the undeniable reality that her name is now cemented in one of the most explosive scandals the entertainment world has seen in years. This isn't the kind of storm a person can simply walk away from. Not when every single element of their life has already been picked apart and reassembled by millions of strangers online. Miami is not the one facing lawsuits, but she is trapped in the orbit of someone who is. And that, in the court of public opinion, can be just as brutal. People once looked at her as the face of bold femininity, a woman who said what others were too scared to say, who wore her confidence like armor. But in moments like this, even the loudest voices can be drowned out by the noise of a narrative they didn't write. the louder the world talks, the less power she seems to have over her own story. And it's not just the media machine at work. It's the weight of cultural perception. Miami has become a mirror onto which people project their own beliefs about fame, power, loyalty, and survival. For some, she's a victim, someone who got pulled too close to a man with unchecked power. For others, she's a symbol of complicity, someone who basked in the benefits while ignoring the shadows. For many, she's both. It's a cruel truth of celebrity scandals. There's rarely one clean narrative. It's always layers of truth, fear, silence, and survival strategies intertwined like wires in a bomb. And the closer you were to the person at the center, the more explosive your every move becomes. Behind closed doors, according to insiders and people speculating online, Miami has become more guarded than ever. Appearances have become rare. Her social media posts, once carefree, bold, and flirtatious, have quieted. And when they do appear, they're vague, carefully curated, and stripped of their usual fiery confidence. That's not a coincidence. In the world of celebrity crisis, silence is never random. It's strategy. But silence can also be a weight. The internet doesn't like uncertainty. It fills in the blanks. And those blanks have now turned into entire narratives, each more sensational than the last. Fans argue, critics dissect, and commentators build entire platforms off debating what she really knew. And the more they talk, the less anyone seems to care what the actual truth might be. This isn't the first time someone has been dragged into a scandal by association. And it won't be the last. History has shown us how quickly a person's image can shift from adored to accused simply because of who they stood next to. In an age where optics often matter more than facts, proximity is everything. For Miami, that proximity isn't just personal, it's public. Her relationship with Diddy wasn't hidden. It was celebrated, flaunted, documented. From lavish parties to red carpet moments, from cheeky interviews to inside jokes, it was part of her public identity. And that's what makes her situation different. She wasn't a quiet figure in the background. She was part of the spectacle, and now that spectacle has turned into evidence. Every moment once meant to entertain fans is being recast as part of a larger story, a story she no longer has the power to control. Meanwhile, legal proceedings surrounding Diddy are marching forward. As more allegations surface and more people step forward, the pressure on everyone connected to him grows. Not because they are accused, but because the public wants explanations. People want someone to talk, and silence is no longer seen as neutral. It's seen as a statement. This is the brutal part of celebrity culture. You can be pulled into someone else's scandal without committing a single crime, and still, your reputation may never recover. Industry insiders are already speculating about what this could mean for her long-term career. Miami has always been more than a rapper. She's a brand, a persona, a voice. But brands depend on perception, and perception is now shifting like quicksand. Some companies are rumored to be watching closely, hesitant to make new deals while her name trends alongside allegations involving someone else. Others are holding steady, waiting to see how the storm plays out. And through it all, her fans remain divided. Some are fiercely loyal, insisting she owes the world nothing, that she's being unfairly targeted simply for who she dated. Others have distanced themselves, unable to separate her from the man at the center of the allegations. In today's culture, perception can harden into reality faster than facts can surface. What makes this situation so devastating is that it exposes a dark underbelly of fame. How quickly admiration can turn into accusation. How power can drag down not just those who wield it, but anyone standing near it. How silence can become a noose. But beneath the noise, there's something undeniably human here. Strip away the flashing lights, the headlines, the money, and the luxury, and what's left is a woman who is being forced to carry the weight of a story she didn't start. Whether she's innocent, complicit, or somewhere in between, she's now branded by association. This is the point where most public figures make a decision that defines the rest of their careers. Speak out or disappear into the shadows. Reclaim the narrative or let it consume them if she speaks. Every word will be dissected, scrutinized, spun, and weaponized by both supporters and critics. If she stays silent, the narrative others created will harden around her like concrete. Either way, the stakes are monumental. This isn't just about music anymore. It's about legacy. For Young Miami. The next moves will determine not just how people talk about her today, but how they remember her in the years to come. She built a brand on fearlessness, but this storm is different. It's bigger, uglier, more dangerous than a diss track or an online feud. This is real-world power, real allegations, and real consequences. And as this saga continues to unfold, one thing has become painfully clear. Once the media machine puts your name in the storm, walking out unscathed is nearly impossible. Whether she emerges hardened, vindicated, or broken depends not only on the legal outcomes surrounding Diddy, but on how she chooses to face a world that has already written its own script for her. The countdown to her next move has already begun. The world is watching. And in a story like this, silence can be just as loud as a scream. And that right there is where the real storm begins. The lawsuits against Sean Combs may be what sparked the fire. But the ripple effect has pulled Young Miami into the spotlight in a way she's never experienced before. This isn't about music charts or red carpet moments anymore. This is about image, power, silence, and survival. Power, silence, and survival.